handsome.
Why, thank you.
Finally, a real man. He's nothing but a slime-infested jelly donut.
Julia Cortez played the movie version of Rita Repulsa. Probably the second time I watched the movie is when I was smitten with her portrayal of Rita. And for many years, I had the biggest crush on movie Rita. For so long, I thought I was the only one, until 2019 when I met my friend Giuliano, who also revealed that he crushed on movie Rita. After I started making my reflection series on the Power Rangers, I noticed a few more people revealed that Rita Repulsa was also their childhood crush. So today let's explore why this movie Rita really appealed to some of us children. Now, the actress who played movie Rita was named Julia Cortez, and prior to this movie she played Cynthia in the movie The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. This movie in fact would be Julia Cortez's last acting role that we know of. Julia Cortez was around 40 at the time, so she was much younger than the original Rita, but also much older than the second Rita in the TV show. So she was the perfect middle ground between the two TV Ritas, age-wise. So what made this movie Rita such an appeal to certain kids? Some would say maybe it was the costume, because it was the movie, it had more budget for the costume. Some people might say that Julia Cortez channeled some of her Cynthia role into this Rita. But I'm going to go a little deeper, and I'm going to introduce a concept called the skip Oedipus Complex. To understand the skip Oedipus Complex, we first have to understand the original Oedipus Complex from Freud. Now, the Oedipus Complex evolved from an ancient Greek myth of Oedipus. In ancient Greek myth, Oedipus was destined to murder his father and marry his mother. So his father, the king of Thebes at the time, tried to make this not happen. But a prophecy is a prophecy. And eventually, this Oedipus character does murder his father and marry his mother. And the real tragedy of all this is that he didn't know about any of this until much later. Freud, in developing his psychoanalysis theory, took the myth of Oedipus and used it to describe certain behaviors of young boys. In Freud's mind, the most important character, the most important person in a young boy's life is his mother. A young boy will naturally have an attraction, an affinity / a love for his mother. He will also have a little bit of a competitive and maybe hostile relationship towards the father. And the relationship can go both ways. The father might treat the son as a little bit of a competition. Now, take a lot of the psychoanalysis with a grain of salt, and I'm sure there's a lot of literature nowadays in science to debunk a lot of it. Nevertheless, certain assumptions that Freud has of a little boy spending a lot of time with his mother, the closest woman in a little boy's life is often his mother, these are all true. Many boys have said some funny things like, oh, when I grow up, I'm going to marry my mother. And then there's always the stories of when men marry their wives, there seems to be certain personality or maybe even physical resemblances to their mom in her younger days. So what is this word skip that I add to the beginning of the Oedipus complex? I'm borrowing a term from modern corporate world, which is a skip manager. A skip manager is the manager of your manager. You're skipping a level. So now that we applied this word skip to Oedipus complex, can you derive what it means? The skip Oedipus complex involves the grandma. And in this case, because you have two grandmas, it's whichever one you're closest with, or whichever one you spend more time with, or whichever one had a more dominating personality in your recollections as a kid. So how does the skip Oedipus complex relate to Rita Repulsa from the movie? Well, she was the perfect age to be just young enough to be sexy, but also old enough to be about your grandma's age. She was old enough to be a grandma, but also young enough to still be sexy. So she reminded every little boy of a sexy grandma. Before you think I'm completely crazy, think back on your childhood. Think about which grandma, if not both grandmas, that you interacted with. Or if you weren't close with your grandma, think about some ladies who were around Rita Repulsa's ages that you interacted with. Were there any? If they were slightly younger, they were probably very sexy. Think about that. Before you automatically dismiss what I say, think back to your childhood and go down memory lane and face this uncomfortable truth. So again, did you have someone in your life, most likely your grandma, when you were much younger, if not your grandma, someone else that might have fulfilled the role, who maybe around the time you were a very little kid, or maybe even before, she had some sassiness, she had some attitude, maybe she had some sex appeal. Get back to me in the comment section. I really look forward to what everyone says. So let me know what you think. Am I going way too deep and being too inspired by Freud? Was it just the costuming and the actress? Also, if you crushed on any other villain in the Power Rangers series, let me know. It would be interesting to break down why. Okay guys, this is likely my last video on the Power Rangers movie. Thank you guys for joining the ride. I wanted to save this most theoretical and potentially heretical one for last, but if you watched this far, thank you guys so much. What other topics should we cover? Go, go, Power Rangers. Do, 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 do.